Hello. Welcome to our Genoa Kingston beginning band video for the clarinets. We're going to assemble a clarinet and get our first notes on the clarinet. First of all, we're going to review the parts of the clarinet. We have the lower joint. This is the lower joint. It's the biggest piece in the clarinet case with the thumb rest. We have the upper joint. We have the bell. We have the barrel, and we have the mouthpiece with the ligature attached. The student will need a reed. These are Rico 2s for good sound for beginners. The first thing that I will have each student do when they put their instrument together is they will take the reed and put it in their mouth. I will have to take mine out because I can't talk and put the reed in my mouth at the same time. If you'll notice that the tip of the reed is very thin, very delicate. We want to avoid touching that at all times. Always put the reed in the reed guard when you're not using it. Thin side first, put it in very carefully. The student will have to grease their corks. There's a tube of cork grease in the care kit. They'll put a little bit of grease on each of the tenon corks. Now there are tenon corks on both sides of the upper joint, one side of the lower joint, and on the mouthpiece itself. I'll just do one right now. Just put a little bit of cork grease on. If you have a new clarinet, you'll need to do this every time. The corks are a little bigger than they will kind of wear down to be, and when you're first putting the instrument together, it can lead to some difficulty. So the student should grease them every chance they get. Make sure they work in all the grease. You don't want a lot of mess there. With the grease on, we will commence to putting the clarinet together. This is the upper joint, which I'll hold in my left hand. This is the lower joint, which I'll hold in my right hand. I will show you something about the bridge key on the clarinet. If you notice at the bottom, you'll see that little key right there. That corresponds with the little key that's moving up here on the instrument. What we want to do when we put that together is always push on the upper joint the second key, which lifts that bridge key up, so that when we put the instrument together, the two keys don't bang into one another. That can lead to damaging the instrument. When the instrument's put together correctly, pushing a key down here will activate the bridge key and activate some of the pads up here. Now that we have that put together, using the same twisting, pushing motion, we'll attach the bell. If the brand name of the clarinet isn't right in the front on the bell, that's all right. The instrument will still play the same way as long as it's all the way in. Once we've completed this portion, I like to have the students put together the barrel and the mouthpiece of the clarinet next. I like to do this because it gives the player something to hold on to when they're putting the barrel and mouthpiece combination onto the top of the clarinet. The mouthpiece and barrel together will look like this. Go ahead and slide it on. You'll take your reed, which should be in your mouth, and you stick the flat side onto the flat side of the clarinet mouthpiece. When you finish putting the clarinet reed on, you should see a little bit of black up at the top. You don't want the reed to extend past the mouthpiece because it can get damaged. After you've done that, you take your ligature, big side down, and you slide it over the reed past the cut part of the reed, or the part of the reed that looks like it's been shaved away. Just screw in the ligature screws until they're snug. It should look like this. We now have the top half of the clarinet. In order to get a good sound on the barrel, we're going to tuck our bottom lip over our bottom teeth. I'm then going to place the mouthpiece in my mouth, resting my top teeth on the top of the mouthpiece. I should be about not quite halfway. Okay, I then form a tight seal around the mouthpiece, and without puffing my cheeks, take a deep breath of air and blow. Fortunately, they're only going to be needing to do this for about a week. They should be practicing somewhere where the squeaks aren't going to bother you too much. But that's the sound you should get. It will sound much better when it goes into the clarinet. But right now, we want to be able to let them just worry about getting a good sound. After they get the barrel and the mouthpiece put together, they're going to attach it to the rest of the clarinet by, again, simply twisting and pushing. As you can see, the reed should be on the same side as the thumb hole. There's just one hole in the back here. The thumb rest is also back here. And the keys should all be lined up in the front. There. This is what the clarinet looks like assembled. To play the clarinet, I'm going to set the instrument with the thumb rest on my right thumb, right where the base of my thumb meets the thumbnail. I'm going to form a C with my right hand. My fingers are going to cover all the holes with the rings. Not the keys, but the holes. First finger on the first hole, second finger on the second hole, third finger on the third hole. That's the ones that they'll cover. To play our first note, we won't have to cover those holes, but that's where the fingers will need to go. The pinky will eventually operate these 4 keys. On the left hand, the thumb goes over the thumb hole and covers like this. Again, making a C with our hands, the fingers go over the first, second, and third holes. The first and second holes have rings, the third hole has no ring. Okay, the fingers don't go here, or here, or here, or here. These are where the fingers are going to go. When you're holding the clarinet in the proper fashion, the bell should be just about between the knees, right here. You should be sitting up nice and straight and tall. You're going to take a nice deep breath, and we're going to blow our first note. Our first note is the E. Use the thumb and the first finger. Adding the second finger over the second hole will give you the D. And adding the third finger over the third ringless hole will give you the C. If you notice, I'm only using my mouth and my thumb to hold the instrument. All the other fingers are poised above the keys until they're needed. When I play, I want to use the pad of my finger as opposed to the tip of my finger to cover the hole. If I don't cover the hole, I might get a weak, airy sound like that. Also watch, my hands are much bigger than your students' hands. Your students might accidentally hit one of the side keys with one of their hands. Or, which will lead to a tone that's not the E. Have them concentrate on making a C with both hands. E, D, C. To put the instrument away, that just kind of reverse the assembly instructions, I will stress they should take the reed off, which should be one of the first things they do, because we want to protect the reed. We take the reed off of the barrel and mouthpiece, being careful not to touch the tip, and put it in its reed guard. This way a good reed will last you, if you're playing 20-30 minutes a day, will last you 2 or 3 weeks. Have plenty of reeds on hand because anything can happen with the reeds. If they bump it against something, it's very thin and it will break. Those are the first notes on the clarinet.